Merry Christmas, everyone. How are we doing? I'm Wardy, and I've got a little Christmas present for you all today. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a second, didn't I just watch this series the other day? Well, you did, but it's not the same series. I actually mentioned that I was maybe going to jump around the different groups of this tournament a little bit, but I've decided to come right back to this series because you guys seem to enjoy the first meeting of these two players so much. I figured, hey, they've got a rematch against each other. Let's just dive right into that. So in the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Scarlett. And in the previous match, she did win over TY, the red Terran in the bottom left here, Eternal Empire map number 1. So just a quick recap on what happened. This is a tournament called the Alpha X Christmas Showdown. It's a dual elimination group system, so that means that TY and Scarlett played the first match. Scarlett won, went to the winner's match, lost. TY lost, went to the loser's match, won. And so they're re-meeting in the decided match to see which of these two advances to the round of 8. The other matches in this group weren't actually that great, so I kind of didn't put them up on YouTube, basically. And we're going to go to some of the other groups from this tournament as well over the next week or so and just sort of figure out and probably go quite deep on this tournament because there's so much of it to cast. So there's a lot of great games, a lot of great players. More about that later. For now, as we get this going, I've just got one favor to ask you guys again, and that is consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. I still have this $1 wager on with Base Trade TV. We are currently leading by about 200 YouTube subs, but it keeps getting closer, and we have these ups and downs. It would mean the world to me if I could beat Base Trade TV in something for once. So if you guys could hit that sub button, it would mean the world. Like I said, we're like 700-ish subscribers away from 10,000, which is freaking awesome. We're going to do a special set of show matches just for YouTube once we hit 10,000 YouTube subs. So make sure you stick around for that by hitting the subscribe button. Help us on our way there. That's all I'm going to say. You guys know the rest about liking and commenting. And with that, let's get into this TVZ series and see what goes down. So the last time they played on this map as well, I will cover some of the stuff in the previous series. So if you're looking for no spoilers, like especially like detailed spoilers, and you want to go watch that video, I kind of suggest you watch that one first, because I am going to talk about strategies that were used, because it really builds into the psychology of these players and their choices and decisions that they're making and the differences they're making based on what happens in this game rather than what they did last time, because some of these decisions will be based on their past experiences. You have to remember that when they played this series, it was just a couple hours after they played the original series against each other, so those losses or wins are fresh in their minds. They know what worked, they know what didn't. They'll know what they might want to do to change. So on this map in particular, TY opened, I believe it was Proxy 2 racks, and it was okay. I think Scarlett opened like a roach-based defense, which is never great because you give up the hatchery. But the game went into like a mid-game, and TY just essentially set up a position here, and the real turning point of the game altogether after the 2 racks opener turned into bio was TY was just sat here kind of denying creep outside the front of the 4th base, and Scarlett just attacked. Didn't set up a flank, didn't go for any sort of fancy stuff, didn't really wait patiently. Scarlett just attacked. She just went in, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty in the slightest, and that's where TY just took a commanding lead in a game that I think he was already winning in, but it definitely wasn't the right way to try and get back into the game as Scarlett either. So we'll see if Scarlett, I think for Scarlett mostly, it's obviously already different here, and in fact it looks like we're going to get a completely different game because A, there's no Proxy 2 racks, B, there's a Fusion Core, and that typically means we're not going to see bio, although there has been a couple of Terran players here and there that have started to sneak a battle cruiser into a bio opening a game. That's a build that didn't really have a lot of love for a while, because people just figured out, oh, Zergs kind of know what to do, they can shut down 1 BC too easily. It then just slows down my bio transition, and I don't get enough done to transition successfully. However, a couple of people have just been trying it out again, and we'll see what TY does this time. Obviously, there's absolutely the potential to just straight up play mech here on Eternal Empire. It's not a bad mech map. I'm just suggesting that specifically because he did play bio on this map in that previous series, which is obviously very interesting to see, win with bio and then transition to mech for the same map 2 hours later, right? Because it doesn't feel like TY is the one that necessarily needs to tweak a lot of stuff. Especially when his mech play in the first series as well in the other games was really weak to just sort of bursts and get, taking too much early damage, etc. As the 2 refineries drop down on the natural, that does confirm for us that this will probably be mech and continuous battlecruiser production, as you see a few Hellions going up to the top side and just have a little bit of a look around, clean up some Zerglings. And Scarlett just going into her lair. We haven't talked much about what Scarlett's doing, and that's because she isn't doing much. She just took a third hatch. She hasn't let any Hellions run by into her mineral lines. She is going to have to be ready soon to deal with what TY is going for. In terms of her information, completely blind. She lost an Overlord over here early, so she has no idea about this until right now. BC teleports in, and that's Scarlett seeing this for the first time. But she does at least have a spore up. She's got 7 queens on the map. We'll see how well they gather together, as obviously this position here is frustrating because you can go from the third base to the main and hop around there quite easily. This Overlord survives like 1 hit from death, and that's, you can see TY was almost frustrated by it, wanted to maybe go back down and maybe get the kill, but will drive the Hellions by into the third, so we'll pick up 7 drones there, as now the queens in the main base will continue to drop. So TY getting some pretty good damage done here initially. That's 15 workers as the Hellions on the natural go in and well, rise up to 16, 17. And this BC still has health points to work with, so this is going to get more damage done as well. Yamato Cannon now beginning to build. Battlecruiser number 2 in the production tab. And wow, Scarlett is having an absolute nightmare. Loses another queen, a couple more drones. TY is almost at the point where this BC has been around harassing for so long, it's almost got its teleport back. Going to come forward here again. There's just no anti-air. The queens aren't here right now. TY comes forward, picks off another drone. Why the heck not? You're just so safe here as TY, and again, you're about to have teleport back up, so if you want to, you can teleport back home, and you can get out of here no problem, but hey, why not go pick off another Overlord first? So TY has a pretty good start to this game, let's not lie, as we do see this Orbital Command making its way over to the third location. So that'll drop down here. This BC did teleport back home. In fact, it was right under my nose just as it teleported in. Should have been able to pay more attention to that. There's a couple of siege tanks in the production tab here from TY as well. So getting those set up, ready to go. The Zerglings from Scarlett running around on the top of the map. Hatchery dropping down here as well. We do just see 2 armories from TY. So pretty late on going into those mech upgrades, but again, a lot of other stuff takes priority. The extra factories, continuing to build up battle cruisers, that's all very gas intensive. And the last thing you want to do is to let Scarlett just come across the map and be like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm going to push and kill you. Remember how I did that in the previous games? So TY just, not getting overly greedy with the upgrades or anything along those lines. Now Scarlett, she does take the high ground base rather than the low ground base. I wonder if she's just a bit too worried about a couple of things, right? A, maybe just Hellions running up here and roasting a mineral line from the high ground. But also just the pushing potential, because she's taken early damage. She might just be saying, oh, you know what? Because I've taken early damage, I'm not going to have the units to realistically hold on that low ground. It's going to be a bit harder for the high ground push to come on through. So that's what we're kind of seeing here. Maybe initially, as you see first corruptors coming out, these BCs just go in, use a couple of Yamato cannons, teleport away, and that's going to be the use of these BCs over the next few minutes, right? And as TY does that, he's going to build up into all of sort of this mech army. It looks like it's going to be pretty standard, not Cyclone at all. I've tried to say Cyclone twice in a row there. Hellion Siege Tank might be worth adding in a few Cyclones just because the Corruptors are coming out. And the Cyclones are a pretty good, reasonable response to Corruptors, right? They are armored units, you get Magfield on them, and they will rip apart a couple of those Corruptors, and there we do see a couple of Cyclones being brought into play. But this is not your typical kind of Cyclone production, Cyclone Hellion, get on the map early, and we are seeing less of that because I think that is something that Zergs are getting very good at dealing with against mech. They've kind of figured out how to push it back very effectively. They've, figured out how to drone up against it. Whereas, and then it doesn't transition as well if you don't get damage done early. If the Zerg's in a good enough spot, transitioning can be very hard because you don't have the siege tanks, etc. that you actually really need. There's a couple of Infestors on the way up here from Scarlett, Hive on the way out, and she will just continue to tech up. Obviously for Scarlett, you kind of want to play safe and defensive here because you kind of know you're a bit behind, so being out on the map and doing, trying to be fancy isn't necessarily going to do too much. Going to get taken down here as we do have Hellions cruising around over to the left-hand side. Neural Parasite going to be a choice as well in those Infestors. It's a wise one, right? Neural Parasite can find so much value for what is relatively little cost if it goes successfully. If you hit a Neural on all of these BCs, they are just free pickings. So that's absolutely something that could happen. That's absolutely something we should watch out for here. And TY will have to be careful of that as we see Hellion Cyclone pressing in. That's going to be a couple of creep tumors picked off just like that. Now moving up this ramp, we're going to see a bunch more creep tumors getting taken down as well. So quite a lot of creep being denied here in the early stages. As we do see the command center from TY in the bottom, well, that's going to get slowed down as the SCV gets picked off by a Zerglin. Aliens come over, and we will see TY just going to come back around into the center of the map here. Neural Parasite on the way up, Bane speed dropping down, plus 2 missiles about to finish. I mean, lots of upgrades for Scarlett, who has very good creep spread. We always know Scarlett's one of her big strengths is going to be good creep spread. And she does have that covering the map, so she's very aware of attacks coming around in different locations. And that might just slow TY from kind of progressing forwards on the map as well, right? So that's something to worry about here a little bit. You see Helly the Cyclone pressing through, and well, that is an absolute disaster for Scarlett. Scans is going to lose all 4 of those infestors. She just walked into that, and that is, well, a lot of money that Scarlett has just thrown away. So Scarlett in a little bit of trouble if this push continues forwards. I mean, the tanks are pretty far set back at the moment. Remember, the Cyclones locking on, those Ravagers getting pushed back. The Corruptors not really able to get in here now. We're going to see the Immortals lining up from the BCs. And while the Corruptor can already takes a bit of a beating, the Cyclones locking onto them as well. We'll lose one of the BCs though, doesn't teleport it away in time to TY. A little distracted there perhaps. As you see the BCs pulling away down the bottom side. Corruptors flying in, the BCs continue to split away. And we're just going to be seeing Roaches and Ravagers continue on forwards here. A couple of Siege Tanks on the high ground are going to be in some trouble as well. So Corrosive Bars able to take that down. And we do just have the extra couple of Corruptors being picked off as Scarlett will continue to shut this down and clean this up. But when you look at what was lost here, the Zerg is trading very ineffectively, right? So yes, Scarlett cleans up, but you've got to remember TY has some tanks at home, you know, he still has the PCs up and running. Scarlett lost a lot of Corruptors, she lost a lot of Ravagers, she lost all the Infestors, and those are all very expensive units that become very difficult to replace over time. That's a nice catch for us. TY gets a bit aggressive, especially after scanning the Infestor. Would have thought that maybe he wouldn't have just committed in there like that. He's trying to get this hatch. He actually immortals it, then teleports away. Transfusion will come down. A couple of odd choices there from TY, perhaps with the Battlecruiser usage. It gives 1 or 2 up, and that definitely helps Scarlett drag herself back into this. As you can see, these Hellions just running straight by into the natural for 8 more drones, 10 more, and counting. Slime Crawler will get rid of these last couple of Hellions. They will finally go down as the Roach Ravager army out over to the right-hand side. Looks like that might push down in toward this planetary fortress. As the rest of this army out in the center, plus 3 missiles, plus 3 melee. Upgrades coming in from Scarlett, but TY is building 3 battlecruisers at a time, so how much does the ground army really matter? Scarlett needs to be thinking of her late game plan against battlecruisers, and a lot of them. So, what is the plan going to be there? Well, that's the new question, right? Is Corrosive Bars hit down on this CC, and that takes quite a bit of damage to start. We're going to be seeing the Cyclones starting to lock on towards some of those Roaches, which are going to get pushed back here. Manson can drop back down. So again, Hellions and Cyclones just having a little bit of fun, locking on, trading out. Really having a pretty fun time so far as Scarlett gets pushed up the right side. It's the BCs though. Like, these Cyclones are trading great, and then you've got the BCs running across the map. Enough BCs, well, there's something Yamato down the hatchery. I mean, I can get the idea of Yamato down the hatchery. It's a nice base to deny, but Scarlett has the top left base as well. It's not like she's really struggling for bases, so much so that denying this base is like a critical maneuver from TY. I really feel like he's very much so just massively focused on that for very little gain. Like, again, well, I mean, Scarlett's still long distance mining, but that's her own mistake, right? Why on earth she doesn't just send the drones up here to mine, I don't know, right? That just doesn't really make sense unless she's very afraid that this base is exposed, which maybe it is, but then just get a couple units up there, get some vision over here to make sure you can see the units coming in ahead of time. I just feel like continuing the long distance mining here is just given TY the advantage he was looking for. Anyways, the Cyclones get a few lock-ons, and Roach Ravager will continue to drop BCs up in the skies. Well, they're going to start being chased down by these Corruptors, so nice Neural Parasite will actually get one of the BCs and could teleport that forward further into the Zerg army, make sure it doesn't get out. But man, there are so many battlecruisers. Now, I'll tell you what, those Corrosive Bars are hitting quite nicely. So a few of these BCs are dropping lower than you might have initially expected. And no teleports away yet from TY. Some of them are on cooldown, and that will be why. A couple more Corruptors coming through there. Scarlett backs away as she kind of runs out of Corruptors, runs out of Ravagers to battle with. But 15 more Corruptors in production. And she is picking her way through this battlecruiser army. TY, I don't want to see us being careless. If you look at resources lost, though, he has lost the 3,000 advantage that he had, So he is losing in these fights now. Scarlett is trading a bit better, and in a game where Scarlett's economy has been up and running, right? Yes, she's taking some drone losses here and drone losses there. Losing the base here has a bit of an impact, etc. But overall, she is mining that little bit more. Just means that TY needs to be careful that he doesn't get overrun if he continues taking these bad trades. Again, for now it's okay, because right now he's only traded evenly, but again, the last few engagements have been of a similar tale, so needs to just sort of get that corrected, be a little bit careful with that. I still look at this and I still kind of like TY's setup, right? I feel like anytime you've got a Raven out and you're able to mass up battle cruisers, it's going to be very difficult for the Zerg, because the Zerg's best counter is going to be Corruptors. You put an anti-armor missile on those, and those are going to drop so much faster. Not only that, but obviously the upgrades keep rolling through. You know, the Infestors for Scarlet are interesting, but it can be so hard to get proper Neuroparasites off, and a lot of that comes down to just, can you Yamato correctly, can you target those down properly, and if you can, those Infestors can be nullified, and then Neuroparasite isn't really achieving much at all. A couple of extra Liberators coming out, Thor production coming out as well. So TY is now scared of Broodlords, so he's preparing for that, hence the Thors. There's not a sign of Broodlords on the map though, right? Greater Spire is down, but none morphing in. And I don't think there's going to be any immediate intention to, because I think Scarlett knows she kind of needs her kind of Corruptor count up there to fight the battle cruisers. Now, of course, Thors aren't only kind of anti-Broodlord measures. They can also be a good addition against the Corruptors as well, if you just want to take those down. So they're not a bad introduction at all. So yeah, I don't mind, again, TY really adding these on. It kind of makes sense. You just want to make sure you've got a good tank line, right? Because if you go pure Thor, then that's when you just actually switch into more like Lingbane Ravager, and you overwhelm as the Zerg, because it gets very tough without the proper amount of splash damage to deal with the swarming composition of that. So it's just about finding the right mix, and TY obviously feels comfortable with the mix that he has at the moment. Taking pretty much all the bases across the bottom left side of the map. I mean, this base over here, that refinery is already mined out, and that's just the power of the Rich Vespian Geyser. Is going to try and expand over here. SCVs are already transferring in. Scarlett will see those SCVs though, so she will know a bit about units moving over there. There's a few Swarmers setting up a little bit of attack. They didn't really get anywhere too successful. A couple of vials, and that's a dead Liberator. And TY just sitting outside the front of this base over on the left-hand side here. So TY maxed out, both players maxing out. Scarlett not quite there yet, but she does have the money to max, so it's almost like she's just trying to figure out what she wants to build. She drops a couple of good fungal growths, and the follow-ups on the Infestors there. No Yamato cannons or anything going off on them. Corruptor's still sitting out up in the skies. We see +2 flyer carapace on the way on the Spire. And this army of TY just hanging out on the left. As we'll see TY just patrolling a Raven out in front as well. Ravagers might want to come and get involved with this. We do have the Infestors setting up as well. A couple tank shots to push those Ravagers back, and the Ravagers will go back. Again, long distancing here at the moment in this bottom right corner. Creep coming across, so Scarlett will block this base, and it's only going to take a couple of Lingers to start shutting down those SCVs. Those Lingers have +3 melee, so they're going to do a lot of damage. They don't have any Carapace upgrades though, so actually the SCVs fighting back will do more than you expect them to at this stage of the game. But again, 16 workers go down, and that's just TY being a little bit greedy having those over there, building the CC out in position. That's going to end up cancelled. At the same time, at least he does get rid of this top left-hand side base. So that's the base of Scarlett that will go down, as the tanks and the Thors trying to zone out Scarlett's army from getting there. Means that TY can obviously pick up a bunch of the drones that kind of go on this base as well, so he evens up the worker losses. But look at that bank, still Scarlett kind of dominating when it comes to what they have to spend it in Remax here. Talking about a whole bunch of 5,000 minerals, 4,000 gas. Ooh, Zerg auto turrets as the Raven gets overtaken, and that's a nice little catch on the Euro Parasite. I bet that works real well here as we see the Thors send up on this top side. They're going to keep pressing forwards here. Queen's taking some damage. Slime Crawler's going down. Actually taking a whole bunch of hits. VC's helping to pick that off. That Slime Crawler goes down as well. The Viper will abduct. VC teleports just out of trouble, but stays in the army as TY wants to keep pushing forwards here. So Scarlett is, well, in trouble, just in the sense that if she gets forced to fight, it hasn't been looking good for her in these fights directly so far. Although let's see what these Corruptors can do. They come in for a couple of the BC kills, and now Fungal Growth's going down as well. She's going to get quite a few here. She really does dominate the skies. These Locusts really need to get down and help out against the Thors. She needs something to soak for those Roaches. And the Roach are making it forwards now. Newer Parasite coming down, and Thors are being turned away. Scarlett overwhelming on the top of this here. Thor gets picked off, and now other units will stream in, but that tank support is going to be the difference. It honestly just does so much. Kills off this base or drones. I think it wasn't a base trying to re-expand. I think it was just the drones trying to long-distance mine, so they are getting blown up too. Scarlett still is the player with the bank though. 180 supply, 5k, 6k. But what does she build? I mean, she has dealt with the battlecruiser threat here now. So now she has to deal with the ground army. If you look at TY's standing army, 6 Thors, 4 Helicans, 5 tanks, like you couldn't convince me it's really, you know, a maxed out army because so much of it is just in production. But what does Scarlett do? Because Roach Ravager is just not going to trade well enough. That's probably going to be the issue, right? If you can't trade well enough with Roach Ravager, how do you get rid of this ground army? Well, she's kind of missing a lot of the tools she probably needs. Vipers, for example. She could morph in Brutals, but then the Thors are very scary. That's maybe where Vipers come into play, because you can abduct those Thors into the Brute, you know, really underneath the Brutes and just kill them off real nice and quick. It's, you know, or just Blinding Clouds as well, right? Keep the Thors from hitting the Brutes, I guess, would work as well, as long as the Brute Lords are still hitting the Thors. So Vipers maybe something that's missing here from Scarlett. A couple corrosive files are well placed with the fungal growth to be able to take down that Thor. TY just pushing up this ramp as we're going to see Bane's coming in, another nice fungal growth, but what is Scarlett going to spend her money on? It feels like she still just hasn't decided. Swarmhost coming up, so Locust, I mean, don't get me wrong, they definitely help as well here in this scenario. Against mostly Thors, which obviously don't have the splash. So those are kind of going down. You can see corrosive files coming in to clean out those couple of siege tanks. That works pretty well too. Scarlett is cleaning up the map. But she then again just needs to decide what she wants to rebuild. Right now, just a few circles on the way. Is she lava blocked? She is. She doesn't have the lava. So that's Scarlett's issue here. She doesn't actually have the lava to spend her money. So she has 6k, 6k. And she can't actually use it to the point where now she's like chasing down libs with corruptors, but now she's lost a bunch of her corruptors. Oh my god, she's going to lose the base on the right side again. Let's not worry about economy yet. She still has a bank. But losing bases means she's losing the lava. And the lava is what she is struggling with, especially when she has such a large bank. She needs to rebuild so much at once. Especially if you're trying to just rebuild like, round after round of Roach Ravager. Oh my god, is Scarlett going to lose this game because she just can't build enough units? I genuinely think she might. This command center top left goes down. Thors and tanks continue to chase up to the top side. Madness Network will be denied. What is going on? How many is the tank moving around? Liberator showing up over here. These corruptors are going to start caustic spraying down the planetary fortress, so that will be taking quite a bit of damage. The Thor is still picking away at these drones. 37 workers down. Scarlett's economy is down to 20 drones. She's going to lose this game with like thousands of resources left to spend. Those Liberators are currently actually picking away at Corruptors as well. Thors that are in a mixture of anti-air modes. Needs to switch those to TY. Realizes the damage output would be better. That other mode there. Scarlett's actually just going to die with like money in the bank. She has 3 bases left, which means again, now she's got the money, but she doesn't have the lava. Look at the NG on the Queens. Doesn't even have injects lined up on this base right now, despite the super high NG Queen. And those are the kind of things that are costing her this game, right? Not having injects lined up, and not having the lava she needs. TY is just going to push through to victory here at some point. The Scarlett just cannot keep up. And it's been a long time since I've seen someone tap out of the game with a bank so large, but I don't think it would be unjustified to leave this game right now as Scarlett, because you can just see it happening. She's just getting picked apart, and TY has no intention of stopping. Why on earth would he? As far as he sees it, he thinks Scarlett is pretty much dead already, right? He's seen no real reinforcements coming out, just a couple of these units that are the same every single time he presses in. And he's like, okay, well, if that's all you've got, there's no reason for me to keep pushing through and trading. And he's got bases around the map. He's looking just fine in terms of keeping his economy going, so he can keep his production coming back online. Those Liberators are going to be sieging up across the top of this Nidus, and while Swarmhosts are going to go down, Ravagers again picked apart, and that is the last stand from Scarlett pretty much already happening. So Tank Thor army just is not slowing down at all. Scarlett still has 80 army supply in what? I don't really know. 16 Swarmhosts, and apparently that's it. And a few Roaches out building. Scarlett will GG out. In the end, she did spend quite a lot of her bank, but she died when she had 5k in the bank, realistically, and that's a real shame. She really made some mistakes there, I think. Don't think there's really another way to look at that, right? Just Scarlett made a lot of mistakes. I think Scarlett took a lot of damage early game and did a really good job of trading well after that and dealing well with TY's composition to put herself back in the game. But TY just kind of knew what he had to do, kept up the pressure. But in the end, it was Scarlett shooting herself in the foot. I know I'm playing like a broken record right now. I'm sitting repeating myself over and over again. But you just can't get over like a 5k bank just basically losing because there's no units to be made. Well, GG's, that's TY taking this game number 1 of this best of 3 series. We'll go jump on into game number 2 and have a look to see how this continues to develop. Game number 2 on Ephemeron, and in the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Scarlett, looking to fight back and hopefully this time have enough lava to spend all of her money. As in the bottom right, the red Terran player TY will see what he gets up to here. As that's an early gas from Scarlett. Last time they played on this map, Scarlett went for... It was some kind of Roach Ravager attack. I can't recall exactly how it looked, but it was a pretty early Roach Ravager attack, and basically then just build up into like Corruptor, Queen, Roach Ravager, and just push to gain to end the game. This is 14-14, so the idea of an early gas pool like this from Scarlett is to get across the map early, is to get some damage done, and to work from there. So let's see what she can do as we set up here on Ephemeron. An early gas pool like this, you're oftentimes looking for just ling speed, and that can be looking for a cancel on the command center of your opponent. Because obviously as the Terran player, you may be say, oh, pool first, okay, you know, I'm going to back away. But then you don't expect the lings to have speed, in which case you can't defend them just with the Reaper, right? So, see what will happen. As you have, obviously, TY just dropping down that barracks. And as we just wait for this gas pool to come up again, guys, I'm going to just say it one more time. If you're enjoying the content here on the YouTube channel, if you're enjoying the YouTube exclusives and the uploads from the stream that we're picking out, do consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free to do, helps us out a whole bunch. Again, road to 10,000 YouTube subscribers. I've really wanted to hit that before the end of the year, all year long, and we really are within, you know, distance of making that happen. So if you can help us out there, it would be awesome. Here come the lings, starting to move out onto the map, and you can see Scarlett gets ling speed and pulls out of gas. So she's looking for a CC cancel. Now, honestly, the correct response here from TY is to literally just go cancel the CC, rebuild it in the main instantly. Just don't delay at all. However, TY might lose the reactor that he wants to build up here, and that could be the next issue, as we do see the SCV scout at least is going to spot that this is a pretty late hatch. So TY should get a read on the fact that his Reaper needs to stay home. As the next depot is, are we going to see a Marine? No, we're going to see the reactor. But again, if these lings can get on the reactor, you can actually do a surprising amount of damage to it, and you can't repair something that's still being built. Same as you can't transfuse a hatchery that hasn't completed building either, right? So that's one of the issues right now. This Reaper's chasing the lings, but ling speed's going to finish soon. I mean, he sees how many lings. He actually does cancel the CC. He has a read on what this is. He knows by the timings and the number of Zerglings as well. So cancels the CC, instantly rebuilds in the main, and the Scarlett gets ling speed up. That Reaper is darting and dodging, and that is just buying time for the reactor to finish. Not just the reactor finish, now the factory can maybe even swap over there and get 2 Hellions on the way. It doesn't look like that will happen. No, we'll actually just go Hellion and a couple extra Marines. So, yep, Reaper doesn't make it home, but you know what? These lings will not get in. And as far as TY is concerned, yes, has to cancel the CC and slow that down, but Scarlett had to delay her own base, and TY won't actually take any, real extra damage from this point on, and now we'll get the Hellion count up to be able to push back those lings and stay safe while taking the low ground in the near future. So overall, this was dealt with very well by TY. He didn't lose the Reaper blindly, he lost the Reaper buying even more time for units to come out and for preparations to be made, so it's a job well done as the Zerglings here from Scarlett just hanging around on the natural. Queen about to come up to completion, so waiting for that to complete. As those couple of Hellions just coming forward, those lingers taking damage. CC about to complete now. Of course, TY also has that starport underway, so starport is about to be done, and we'll see what exactly TY wants to do with that. Straight into a tech lab. Could just be like a Cloak Banshee opening. The big threat when you kind of play against an opening like what Scarlett is doing is that she just goes back into gas mining, drops a Roach Roar and goes for a Roach attack because you have no map control any longer. You lose the Reaper, so you can't re-scout for the Roach Roar, and so you're really just blind. So the Cloak Banshee really kind of covers you in that regard. It gives you a lot of kind of safety room. So if an attack doesn't come, you're not behind because you've not built blind bunkers. but you have a Banshee that can actually harass and put you in a good position anyways. And B, if a Roach attack does come, you've actually just got an automatic defensive unit there, which can't be countered unless they brought the Queens as well, which doesn't really happen in these sort of attacks that we'd expect from Scarlett because, you know, late hatcheries, etc., Queen count is going to be pretty low. You're not going to go wandering the Queens across the map unless you maybe do some kind of a Nidus, in which case, Banshees are still good defensively because they have a good damage output. So, you know, in general, the Banshee just keeps you very safe across the board for what could be coming when you can't check that for yourself. As Barracks loads up, TY going to take it over to the frontier, and again, a couple of extra Queens just building up from Scarlett. Queens from Scarlett all the way back up between the natural and the third base right now. This Banshee from TY still out over to the left, and the Zergling of Scarlett coming around, looking to see where it can go as well. Looks as though it's going to make a play in. Two more Hellions in production there, then as Lair on the way up, a few more Lings. Roach Roaring drops down at the front. It's kind of going to be an interesting little Hellbat attack because we actually have a few Marines being brought with this as well. TY is actually going to get an early Overlord kill, which is already going to put Scarlett close to being supply block. We've got 2 Overlords on the way. Shouldn't be a major issue. And there's the Hellbat Banshee squad. Well, they make some pretty good progress from the very get-go there. Those few Marines behind will just add that extra bit of damage. That might really hurt here. Hellbat's pulled quite far back there. Not sure what the intentions are. Looks like TY might even be trying to get these away somewhat, or took them into a corner against the Zerglings. I'm not actually totally sure, as we do see though. Lair still not here, so still no Overseer. Second Banshee showing up, and this might be a good few Queen kills though, because these Queens are dropping fast, and there's no energy left for transfusion, so actually TY is going to get every single one of these Queens, apart from maybe this one, depending on the control. Didn't step the Banshees. Things getting a surround and chase down that final Hellion. We'll probably just dive the Swarm Crawler for the Banshee and for the Queen anyways, but no. Sees the drones, and that's a much more lucrative target, so he gets 4 workers instead. And TY does some really good early damage here. However, Scarlett drone heavily before this, and now she's on 51 workers, so actually despite the damage, she still is on a good worker count, just missing a few Queens, which she's now starting to replace. I mean, that does have repercussions, so it's still, you know, it's not like Scarlett's just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm just rebuilding up an army no matter what happens here. That's not the case at all. And as these couple of Banshees of TY get chased away up through the top side, those few Hellions from TY also coming across. Looks like they want to go, maybe run by in towards one of these mineral lines, hit a few of these drones. 12 workers picked off here at the moment. This Banshee continuing back down the bottom right, and we're just going to be seeing the drones continue to take a whole bunch of damage. So overall, 14 workers killed. That's where Scarlett really is going to start hurting, right? That's where TY is going to start moving into a much stronger spot. Is going to play mech again, but this time, because of the Banshee opening, is not going to play a battlecruiser style, is instead going to play Hyperflight Rotors. These speed Banshees, they kind of fill the role of what battlecruisers fill. So they kind of do this thing where it's very weird, but they kind of do this thing where they kind of have the map control. They can be the ones denying the bases. They can chase down roaches that are alone on the map without any anti-air. And it's just a different way of kind of filling the same role as what the BCs do. Obviously, they work quite differently. They don't just get to come in, fire some Yados, and teleport out, but they can fly in very quickly somewhere and then fly out before they get into trouble. So it's that kind of idea of just mobile damage in the skies. Again, a lot more flimsy, but also much more expensive. So you'll see things, obviously, off of a weird opening like this. Like the extra tanks and Hellions now on the way out, despite the kind of later start. They're still coming out at a pretty reasonable time here, as the Queens will push those Banshees away. Of course, Banshees, just like the BCs, can get back home and get repaired and go again. Which, especially once they have Hyperflight Roaches, is very easily done because they become so freaking quick. It just takes them a long time to get so quick because of the upgrade taking a long time to finish up. Actually, he's just going to commit for the hatchery, gets it. No cancel from Scarlett, who probably just thought she was okay with the Queens to just push those Banshees away. So that's a dead hatch. That's 300 minerals down the drain, plus the drone. So yeah, costly little mistake there by Scarlett as TY just saw the opportunity and made the most of it. And again, now has Hyperflight Rotors getting back home and back across the map becomes very easy again. And these Banshees really keep you very safe from any sort of like Roach Ravager bust too, which is what TY died to on this map in that previous series that we casted between these two. Infestor on the way up on the natural. Burrower will start up on the third base. We do see the hatcheries on the top right, in the center. Those are going to continue to build up here as well. More of these Banshees going to come up the right side. It's going to go after Crypt Humor, and then cloaking up, going to try and get a Queen or two. to, as we have the Banshees. Again, going after a couple of drones. Cryptone's being picked away here. Hellions coming forward, and the Queen does get shot down. The rest of those Hellions heading up in towards the natural expansions. They're going to run by, and they're absolutely going for those drones. The drone's going to be in trouble here. I mean, that's already 14 workers picked apart, so again, just nice run by, finds a position to get damage done. All those Hellions will go down, yes, but 14 workers. And the Banshees are back around the map again, moving to see what they can get up to. TY just going to start a 4th command center as well and just keep on expanding. This game fully in TY's control right now. He's making pretty much all the moves here to kind of keep Scarlett on the back foot. Extractor taking some hits as well. Hive and a Nidus network on the way on the upper left side, and the Banshees back down the bottom. They can join up with those couple tanks. The Thor might just want to repair. They don't really need to repair. I just want to build up some energy again so they can have that cloak in case they need it to help them get away. Swarmhost coming out, so the Hyperflight Rotor Banshees are going to be great at kind of defending against that. I mean, that's a scam for creep spread, but hey, you find some free rotors and you'll take that any day of the week, so nice and easy, thank you. Obviously gets to see the idea that Scarlett wants to try and move around the map, wants to try darting around. There's going to be a weird 4th base position up the right side. We do have another CC here. Going to take one of those more traditional 4th bases over on the left. And Scarlett sees this base right away, and TY sees the fact that there's going to be a Nidus coming up over here. The Banshees are on their way over. They're pretty fast, but they weren't on their way soon enough, so the Nidus will come up. What's going to pop out of it? Well, if you take the Swarmhost out now, yeah. The issue is if you take the Swarmhost out now, you don't actually do much with them, because then they just get stranded here as the Nidus goes down. Then the Banshees get the kills. So Scarlett had to stop and load the Swarmhost instantly, and just go right back into that Nidus before the Banshees showed up. So the Banshees defend that position anyways. So that's another job well done. There's now more Swarmhosts popping out of the Nidus network here. Over on the right-hand side, we do have Infestors and Queens. They are gathering up in the center. The Locusts going to send themselves up in the sky, start heading their way in towards this planetary fortress. So, some damage over here. Oops, TY tries to help out for the moment or so. SCVs will just pull to try and repair. It looks as though they will be okay. Cumulus go down. A couple of SCVs. Overall, a good defense. And that wave of Locust doesn't really achieve much at all. And the TY goes into the Blue Flame as well. That's just going to make life against those Swarm Hosts even easier, because you're going to have an even better way to clean those up every single time. So how about tank out over on the right, a barracks in the center, being pushed away through the middle of the map as well. Finds a Nidus in the bottom left-hand side, so able to take that down as again. Hellbat's tanks making their way through these rocks, and rocks will go down. Explosive barrels going to land. The tank's getting picked off here. Hellbat's pushing through, and a Spore Crawler gets picked off as well. Banshee's trying to fight. A couple of fungal growths landing mostly on the Liberator there, and here come the Swamp Host Locusts. Continue to drop down. She's doing a pretty good job of this still as more of those Ravagers get picked away at. Another Roach gets picked off, still trying to press forwards here. These Ravagers still taking some pretty hefty damage. As the Swarm moves over on the right side, the Banshees are going to go and pick those off. More Swarm Hosts getting picked away at there. Another fungal growth or two. Going to be coming down. Those Banshees still taking damage as Hellbat's Thors coming up through the center. Just going to jump up into the skies as we press on forward. So you're going to see a couple of tanks getting picked off. The Thors, they're going to go in after the Overseer. The Overseer is going to be dropping down a few extra changelings as well as the Banshees come back over, and just again, Roaches, Ravagers pulling back away up to the top side. So they're pulling away back up to the top. 7 more Corruptors, 8 more Roaches, couple of Queens. All of this coming through as the Pathogen Gland upgrade on that Infestation Pit is going to be finished up shortly as well. TY still just trying to take some fights. So Scarlett's just kind of hanging in here, slowly tacking up, slowly getting into a better position. And I think slowly really is the word, because she's not really making like fast progress in any of these scenarios. These Swarm Hosts going to try and go again. I guess TY's been pretty happy to just sort of fight and keep on fighting in these games so far. Going to start firing Roach Ravager. Being picked away as we do see the Vikings up in the sky going in after the Corruptors. Thor's firing away. We do see the Liberators obviously going to maybe help out as well, but TY's supply is dropping a lot. He's going to get broken on this right-hand side. Still rallying a couple more units in. I mean, I say he gets broken. He holds with like a Thor. Does that really count as holding? Well, I guess it does, because Scarlett has to back off. Both players are losing a lot. Resources lost is pretty even. Obviously, TY has bases to mine from, so when it comes to economy, TY is not in trouble per se. Scarlett is mining more. You can just see that difference of kind of, 50 supply or so that seems to be in TY's favor almost constantly here. Now we have +1 melee on the way up from Scarlett, so getting that going too. +3 missile attack on the evolution chamber as well. More Ravagers on the way up, Bane speed on the way down, and just going to be seeing the rest of these units continue to press on forwards here. So, Lux pressing in, just going to be seeing the Thors firing away on Corruptors. Roaches taking a little bit of damage, and SCVs are going to pull in to prepare the planetary on the right side. So, this time TY will hold the first little wave of this a little bit more easily, and Scarlett will not be able to break through there just yet. So, tanks currently holding their own. Rest of this army just looking for their own opportunities as well, trying to figure out. Well, TY kind of thinking, well, can I push forwards here? My best just to continue to set up this defense. Scarlett, I like what she's doing, starting to take bases on the left, because if TY is focused over here, these are absolutely prime bases that Scarlett can take advantage of right now. She has the minerals to even just set up a few spines, make it kind of Hellion proof, and really get mining going over on that side of the map, and that will help her out, especially if TY makes a play to try and deny these bases up here. I also like the fact she's obviously putting pressure across the map as well, using these swarm hosts to go elsewhere and really just change up the direction and making your TY look elsewhere. She's not going to break this base, but she will target down some SCVs, so over time the added damage obviously does add up. Locust killed there, and obviously it's just for the cost of Locust, which are, believe it or not, free. Nice little fungal growth, and actually Banshee's getting caught into the Corruptors, able to get rid of those. TY, you can see he's trying to just press that little further forwards now. Corruptor camp pretty low, may need a few more of those, just especially to help deal with those couple of Liberators. And Scarlett really good at those fungal growths. We saw in the last game too, she hit a lot of good fungal growth, those foul combinations. She's kind of doing the same again here now. TY still pressing forwards though, and Scarlett needs a few more roaches coming out. I'm still worried about the lack of Corruptors. I mean, really just focus on corrosive bowels, but when you have to literally corrosive bow everything because it's your counter to everything that Scarlett has, everything that TY has, that's when it gets troubling for Scarlett, because then you can't really corrosive bow everything fast enough or in the first wave because you've only got 9 Ravagers. Well, let's see, the corrosive bows drop down. Looks like Liberators will be the priority here, but means the tanks are still kind of going big. All the tanks on the top side going to get rid of those roaches. The Thor's helping out a lot as well. Some extra couple of Hellions showing up, and well, TY is going to win this fight with units to spare, which means that now Scarlett gets pushed a bit further back. Extra Liberators showing up, and there's still not really the units here, and especially the lack of Ravagers is going to be hurting. And now TY is going to find himself picking away at this hatchery. Scarlett's maxed out again, but she is losing these fights. Resources lost will show you. She is just starting to slip behind a little bit, about 3,000 resources. But that wasn't the case a few moments ago. So the last couple of fights going well here for TY. The Locusts trying to come on in to help create this initial engagement. Here we go, Roaches from the left-hand side. Tank's going to keep on pressing up, and well, Scarlett, I mean, the problem is this is pure Roaches. There's no Ravagers to these tanks. Oh my god, can we just take a moment to see what Scarlett tapped out with? She runs in, let me just rewind this actually. Just give you guys a couple of last moment analysis, right? So, as she's going in here to die, essentially, she is on Roaches. This is the issue. She's on Roaches that aren't doing anything. The Corruptors aren't killing off the Libs fast enough, so the Thors are going to get rid of those. She just has no tech in this army anymore. Swarm hosts on cooldown, so they aren't doing anything either. And it doesn't look like she necessarily needs to GG out right now. Like, right at this point where she leaves, she's got money in the bank, but she's lava-starved again. Very similar issue to what we saw in game number 1. It's one of those scenarios where it's like, I think a lot of the YouTube comments are going to be like, why is Scarlett tapping out right now? Why is she leaving the game? She can still win. I think the reality is she can't, because she's just not getting the right amount of units up. She's not getting the trade she needs. Look at this resource loss tab continuing to increase. And the problem is TY is here. So if she doesn't clean this army up now, it's going to be here. And then she loses 2 bases. Then she loses mining, production, her tech. Then the game ends. I think that's why Scarlett so desperately moves forwards there, but obviously it doesn't work out. Well, guys, that wraps this up. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas period and holiday period. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your days as well. I'm going to be back. I'm going to hopefully have another YouTube cast. I'm not sure if we'll have one for tomorrow, but we'll have some more coming up from this tournament. And also, I've got a couple of Kung Fu Cup stuff, couple of Kung Fu Cup games to finish putting on the YouTube as well. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like or comment down below if you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching the video today. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest.